They were having bad luck all the way around for them.
We have an interesting situation here. Jim Berg is being told that his opponent, Chuck Ciccarelli in the Down and Dirty Chrysler, is unable to fire up and run. So Berg has to run quicker than 3:07 that we just saw Tobin run to win the Camel Shootout. This is one man against the clock for the entire championship battle here at the Seattle Kingdome. He must run quicker than 3.07 seconds to defeat Ken Tobin for the Camel Buck. Staging up.
I think he definitely has his work cut out for him on this one.
Tell you what, this pit has proven to be very, very difficult. We've only seen 3 2-second runs. The helmet visor comes down. Berg waits for the Christmas tree countdown, leaves the line, heads over to the outer berm, smoke from the engine, and he fails to even make it to the finish line. And that automatically hands the win to Ken Tobin's Deja Vu T-Roadster at 3.07 seconds. When was the last time you saw a guy have 2 separate engine fireballs and win an event?
And win the event. That's incredible. Coming up next, we're going to see if Jeff Boehner can pull off the Cinderella story of a lifetime when we have the semifinals of Monster Truck action here at the Seattle Kingdome. Mud and Monster Truck Racing Championships here in the Seattle Kingdome. And it's time now for the semifinals of Monster action.
It's true, and I should point out we just received word from down in the pit area here on the floor of the Seattle Kingdome that Jeff Boehner's high-voltage Jeep that has done so well is apparently starting to run into problems. The right rear tire on the machine is losing air at a very, very rapid pace. He's trying to keep it inflated, and now the engine is starting to overheat. So right now, Boehner has more than he would like on his mind going into his semifinal match with Barefoot.
Well, this is the man that Jeff Boehner has got to get around if he expects to be in the finals. This is Warren Davis in Barefoot. Now, Jeff has been having some problems in his high-voltage Jeep, but despite all that, we know he's going to give it his all in this run.
Certainly after the night he's had, he can't afford to let off. With Warren Davis improving ever so slightly each round with that bulky fuel delivery system, regardless of the problems that we talked about with Boehner, with the deflating right rear tire and the engine overheating, you can bet he's going to drive it all out to try and get around Barefoot. I have to say the crowd is definitely on the Jeep side, but look at the Chevrolet pull away. Boehner sideways on the cars, and Warren Davis upsets the #1 qualifier. Look at him looking over his shoulder. Did I get him? You bet you got him, Warren, in a big, big way. The crowd is probably a little disappointed at this one, but the Chevy fans at least had something to cheer about.
That's right, Bret, but it was definitely disappointing for Jeff Boehner in his high-voltage Jeep.
I'll tell you what, he was big-time sideways going over those cars at the very end. Here's the launch. Boy, that's the strongest starting line lead we've seen so far from Warren Davis and Barefoot. The hit, by far the most aggressive he's made. You can see Boehner having his problems in the other lane, but Warren Davis drives this thing out of a little bit of a dip on the right-hand side, and with one bounce takes it across the finish line easily for the #1 spot in the final round. Tremendous, tremendous race between these two guys, and I don't think the crowd was ready for the Chevrolet to come on quite that strong. There you see Warren Davis looking over his shoulder. Did I get him? He sure did. Warren Davis will advance to the final round. Now let's see if we can spot the problem on Boehner's run, what caused him to get so sideways. Still carrying the front wheels off the starting line. Boehner guiding the machine ever so straight up to the first hit. Everything seemed to be fine at that point. Comes down a little bit on the nose. Then it starts sliding off the side of the cars. And if you look at that right rear tire, sure enough, it is just about flat. The machine with a flat tire at half track, and Boehner kept driving it.
Well, Jeff Boehner may have lost out on that one, but he still has a stake in this action, if you can call it that. This is his old Hot Stuff Jeep, and it's driven now by Todd Blazer. And Todd is kind of exciting to watch in it, too. He's almost as crazy as Jeff is. Running alongside of Todd is Gary Sarton in the Skoal Bandit, which is always tough to beat.
Be an interesting battle. The #2 qualifier, the Skoal Bandit Chevrolet out of California. Sarton, as we pointed out, not afraid to take chances. See a determined look in that man's eyes as he sees a possible final round berth only 150 feet away. Todd Blazer, in the meantime, though, you have to admire this kid. His semifinal finish in the first race he's ever competed in on the U.S. Hobbit Association Camel Tour. And if he can get around Sarton, we'll see another huge upset. You never know. We just saw the #1 qualifier lose. Maybe #2's number's up.
Could be. We'll have to wait and find out here.
Sarton inches forward to the starting line. Blazer already patiently waiting for him up there in the stage beams. The starter looking to clear the top end of the track. He'll spin around, point the flag at each driver, make sure they are ready for the flag drop. And when that green goes down, it's definitely time to get it underway. Checking the drivers. The starter waits to drop the flag. They're gone. Boy, Blazer rolling the start there. He's got the advantage, but look at Sarton moving in. Unbelievable finish. Sarton drives around a huge hole shot by the kid in the Jeep and puts the Skoll Chevrolet in the final round. Unreal.
Todd had an excellent run to begin with, but Gary Sarton really pulled that off.
That was by far the best run Todd's made in all three of his runs, qualifying, first round, and even this losing battle has been picture perfect. But look at Sarton. The determined look still in his eye. He literally puts this Chevrolet into orbit. A lot of smoke from underneath as he over-revs the motor. Tremendously hard landing. Look at the stance of that truck going across the finish line. You have to remember he picked this up, as you just saw, by a couple of inches driving around the Jeep. That man can handle a monster truck. And you got to remember that's still a heavyweight vehicle. Blazer, in the meantime, got that rolling start. Didn't have the tire completely across the line to constitute a foul start, but boy, he looks like Jeff Bainter at the wheel of this old thing. Definitely no conservatism here as he puts the Jeep in the air. Nice landing, that short wheelbase making it get squirrely no matter what he does. Look at him looking over at the finish line to see if he can get around Sarton, but instead has to watch the Skoll Bandit Chevy drive around him by a matter of inches. Looking over his shoulder, no doubt wondering at that point whether or not he won it. I think the crowd response pretty much told him what the name of the game was. Well, even though Warren Davis managed to pick up the performance of Barefoot substantially in that round, Kelly, at this point, I'd have to say Gary Sarton and the Skoll Bandit looks real good here at the Kingdome.
I think it'll be really tough to beat. Stay with us. We've got the finals of Monster Truck action coming up next at the Seattle Kingdome. Hot Rod Association's Mud and Monster Truck Racing Championships here in the Seattle Kingdome. It's time now for the finals of the Monster action. It's going to be exciting.
That's true, and Gary Sarton looks so good in the Skoll Bandit. Even though Warren Davis has managed to cure his fuel delivery problems in Barefoot, he's going to have to really come up with something to get around that incredible black Chevrolet from California.
We've got the Skoll Bandit online, and Barefoot. Should be a good race.
Yeah, I really don't think there's any partiality with the crowd at all either. I think they're about 50% rooting for one, 50% for the other. Side by side on the cars, absolutely perfect race. And Kelly, I don't think anybody could call that one. Our event director on the floor, George Carpenter, is probably watching the slow motion replay himself. Here we see they leave the starting line dead even. Barefoot pulls up on the ramp, then Sarton drives around in the air. Here comes Davis in Barefoot as Sarton wheel stands again. They are absolutely side by side. Our event director, George Carpenter from the USHRA Association, will have to make the decision based on a videotape replay. That's the official way it goes, Kelly. At USHRA Association Racing, if it's too close to call visually, they use a videotape camera mounted directly at the finish line to call the winner. We'll just have to wait for the word.
We've been watching the slow motion replay. I cannot tell who won that race. Bret, this is a real tribute to the sportsmanship of these drivers to go back and run this race again.
The flag drops again, side by side. Sarton, though, drives away for a full truck-length victory at the finish line. What a top-end charge Gary Sarton has at that machine. The crowd obviously going crazy, and Sarton himself says, hey, what did you expect? The Skoll Bandit team picks up the victory here at the Seattle Kingdome as the crowd gives both drivers literally a standing ovation. The helmet comes off. What a battle.
Gary Sarton was able to pull it off. That was incredible action like we've never seen before.
Never.